Okay, Year 7, before we start the new work today, let's quickly revise what we learnt last lesson, which was all about terms and coefficients and expressions. So question 1 says, for the expression 3x minus 7y plus z minus 8, state the number of terms. The terms are separated by the plus and minus signs. They do include the plus and minus signs, however. Okay, so in this one you can see where I've highlighted there are 4 terms in that expression. Find the coefficient of the z. Coefficient means the number in front of. So if my z term is here, the number in front of that z is what I want. However, for this question, there's no number there. If there's no number, it means that it's a number 1. So there's a 1 for our coefficient of z. The constant term is the term that has no letters. So 3x, we have a letter. 7y, we have a letter. Z has a letter. But the one that doesn't have any letters is this one on the end. It is a negative 8. Okay, next in question 2, we have to write the expression. It says write an expression to represent when p is halved and 4 is added. To halve something without a divide sign, we like to make it into a fraction and put it over 2. 4 is added means we do a plus 4. All right, let's try another one. Question 3. Write an expression for 3 less than b. 3 less means the 3 is being subtracted. So the b has to go first, and we're going to subtract the 3 so that we have 3 less. Okay, good. Hopefully that is sounding familiar from what we learnt last lesson. Let's start our new work today, which is all about substituting numbers into our expressions. Okay, so I'm actually going to be telling you what x and y, or a and b, what our letters could be equal to. So let's go through and fill in our dot points first. To evaluate an expression or to substitute values means to replace the pronumeral. Remember, pronumeral just means letters. We want to replace the letters in an expression with a number to obtain a final value. So we're going to have questions like the one here in this example. If x is equal to 3 and y is equal to 8. Now that's just for this question. The next question they could be equal to something else. But in this question, x is equal to 3 and y is equal to 8. This is my expression, x plus 2y. What I want to do is I want to substitute the 3 and the 8 where the x and the y is. So the 3 is going to go in here where the x is, and for the y was equal to 8. But because these are next to each other, the 2 and the y, we also need to put a times sign in between them. So we get 3 plus 2 times 8 as our working out, and then we calculate that to get the number 19. Don't be too stressed about that just yet. We're going to do lots of practice on that in just a minute. The next dot point talks about 4a. So the term 4a means 4 times a, which we just had to do that in our last question. So when substituting a number, we must always include that multiplication sign. Since if we just had 4a and we just went, oh, here's my 4 and the a is 2, it would look like the number 42. But that's a very different thing to 4 times 2, because 4 times 2 is equal to 8, and that would be the correct answer, 8. Next dot point. Replace all of the pronumerals with numbers. Okay, there shouldn't be any letters left in your answer once you do this. Then evaluate using normal order of operations. Now, the truth is you don't have to do order of operations. I'm very happy for you to do it. It's good practice, but we are going to be using our calculator. Okay, because I don't want to have little errors in our order of operations calculations. The most important part that we're learning here is how to substitute into our expressions. That's what we want to learn. So the order of operations, we did that already. We're going to be using our calculator for these ones. All right, example number 1. In the 3 parts here, A, B, and C, for all of these, t is going to be equal to 5. So I always want you to show 2 lines of working out. The first line, I want you to rewrite the expression, but replace the t with the number 5. So it becomes 5 plus 7. The second line is where you type it into your calculator and you work out the answer. 5 plus 7 is 12. Let's do the next one. 8t. Now, because these are next to each other, we know that we need a little times sign in here. So it's going to be 8 times by 5 because t is 5. And second line, 8 times 5 is 40. Okay, question C. First line, I'm going to rewrite it, putting 5 where the t is. So 10 over 5 plus 4 and then minus 5. So see, the t here became a 5. That t there became that 5. Okay, now I just want you to type that in your calculator. So let's actually get the calculator out. All right, here it is. So we're going to type in 10 fraction button 5, and then we use the across arrow button, plus 4 minus 5, press the execute button, and our answer is 1. Okay, let's try the next one. This is a little bit more complicated because this time I have 2 letters. I have x and y. X is equal to 4 and y is equal to 7. So again, we rewrite the whole thing, putting in the numbers where the letters are. So 5x, because it's next to, I need a times sign. So I need 5 times 4 plus y, but y is 7, and then plus the 8 on the end. And again, we put that into our calculator. 5 times 4 plus 7 plus 8, and you should get an answer of 35. Next one. Okay, we're writing down the 80. We write down the minus and open the bracket. The 2x, remember x is 4, so it's going to be 2 times 4. Then we have a plus y, and y is equal to 7, and then we close our bracket. Again, in your calculator, there is brackets to use, which are just here. If you can see my little cursor moving around. So we will type in 80 minus, then press the bracket button, 2 times 4 plus 7. Close the bracket, press execute. So we get 65. Okay, question 3. If p equals 4 and t equals 5. Okay, the first thing we're going to do is just rewrite it. We need to put a times sign between the 3 and the p. So 3 times, and p is equal to 4. So we're going to have a 4 with a little squared on it. Now, squared means that the 4 needs to be times by itself. So 4 times 4, which is 16. Okay, now you can do, as I said, you could do these kinds of things in your head, but I would prefer you to be able to work fast and get through more of these questions, and hopefully also minimize little calculation errors if we're using our calculator. Okay, so the answer for that one is 48. Actually, let me just use the other calculator. So on your calculator you use 3 times, the squared button is the little box with the little 2 above it. So you push the little squared, press execute. Okay, let's do another one. Question B. We have t squared. T was 5, if you remember, so we have 5 squared, plus p, which was 4, and it has a little power of 3 on it. Okay, so that's another button on your calculator that we need to use. So the squared button, we already know, 5 with the little squared, plus To do the cubed, we go to the one right next door, the box with a little box above it. And that means we can type in any power that we want in there. So I want to type a little 3 in there for power 3. Press execute, and we get 89. And lucky last one, this lovely big thing in this question is called a square root sign. What it does is undoes a square. So in the last question, we had 5 squared. 5 times 5 makes 25. If I want to reverse that, I'll do the opposite. The square root of 25 will go back to 5. Now, you don't have to be able to do that in your head. I am going to show you the button on your calculator. So first of all, let's sub in our numbers. So P was 4. So I have 4 squared plus 3 squared. Okay, back to our calculator. We have the square root button, which is the next one along again, the big tick looking thing. And then you want 4 with a squared plus 3 with a squared. Press execute, and the answer is 5. Okay, so that's our first lesson on substitution. You need to do page 12 and 13. Make sure you show 2 lines of working out. You need to show the substitution and then the answer.